And he's hit the bar. It must be a goal. I would have thought that went in.
It's Zlatan! It's Manchester
Dennis Bergkamp met de bal aan. Dennis Bergkamp!
Dennis Bergkamp! Dennis Bergkamp!
Hey guys, and welcome to another week of SORARE. In this video I'm going to introduce you my teams for the upcoming season 2023-2024, what they cost me, and gonna ask the question, can you actually get your money back in one season? But before we start, if you haven't joined SORARE yet, there's a link down below where you get a free card after purchasing your first 5, as well as a Telegram group if you got any questions about SORARE. But let's start.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
As you already can see here, we're gonna start with the non-European regions. That's a team for the competition America Limited. I decided to go for Atlas MX, which isn't the best team there or the overall reigning champion or something, but I can't watch every game of them, so I didn't want to spend too much money on them. So that team cost me 75 euros. The next American region is of course the MLS. I decided to buy Inter Miami, but without Messi, because I had one rule when I decided to buy those cards, that one player shouldn't be worth more than the whole squad around him. And Messi is currently available on the market for around 250 euros. But this 5-man team, including a forward, did cost me 104 euros. Leaving the America, going to Asia, where I bought Vissel Kobe, the most reigning champion in Japan these days. They were pretty expensive, but they're heavily winning most games over there, and the season doesn't really have breaks in it, so they're constantly playing until the winter, and then there's a big winter break. So that Vissel Kobe lineup cost me 180 euros. So now we're gonna jump into Europe, and since I am German and I want to watch games of my teams playing, let's start with the second leagues in Europe, where I bought this guys. That's St. Pauli for Germany. They're constantly playing in the second league in Germany past few years, but they're all heavily pointed out in SORARE. And even though Daschner and Medic got already bought from other teams, their market value of the cards are pretty high, so worth buying them because they were pretty cheap. I bought most of my cards during the summer break, which I really would prefer you to do as well, or next year this time, because the prices are pretty much going down in that time. This whole St. Pauli squad cost me 89 euros. For the next competition, that's the Challenger Europe, which means only teams out of the 5 top leagues in Europe, where I clearly went for Benfica Lisbon. Well, not Grimaldo anymore, but the other 5 guys. They're pretty much dominating Portugal, and since they were won the championship over the past few years many times, this was a clear decision for me. They were also pretty expensive, especially Odysseus. Odysseus cost me around 80 euros. So that whole team cost me 165 euros. Next we're gonna jump into Italy, where I chose the last champion of the season with SSC Neapel. I don't think they're gonna win this season, probably not. But I didn't want to invest too much money in them. Since you already can see, I didn't buy Victor Osimhen, which is worth around 140 euros at the moment on SORARE. I just put these 5 people on. They have like a 80% play rate, at good rates, and even though they are just going for 5th or 6th place this season, they should do decent on SORARE as well. That whole squad cost me 120 euros. Next on, Atletico Madrid. Yeah, I know there's one missing guy that is reigning for them over the past few years, and that's Antoine Griezmann. But as well as I said earlier on, I didn't want any player to be worthier than the whole squad around him. Antoine Griezmann is these days is worth on SORARE around 170 euros, and this whole squad cost me 95 euros. So I hope that Korea, which I'm already buying, which I'm going to add there as well, will be playing as well. So I got a full lineup on. Next, France. First, I was thinking about getting PSG, but with all their lineup changes and really expensive players, Donnarumma, for example, costs 100 euros. I decided to go for Olympique Marseille. They did some roster changes over the past few weeks, but I think these 5 guys should mostly playing, and that's the sense. I just need 5 players, and I hope they are working out. That whole squad cost me 140 euros. Jumping to England, where I went for Manchester United, but not the whole squad. I picked Jordan Pickford over Onana, because Onana is around 220 euros on SORARE. That's far too expensive for me for a single player. I went for Jordan Pickford as well because he's the national goalkeeper for England. So if the European Championships are next year, I can use that one as well. The most expensive card on that lineup is of course Rasmus Højlund, their transfer from the last week. That whole squad together cost me 270 euros. So now there are 3 challenges left. That is the All-Star lineup, the Bundesliga, and the Champion Europe. I'm gonna mix these 3 lineups together because I can watch these games the most. First of all, FC Bayern. I bought Manuel Neuer when he got injured, so he was pretty cheap, 40 euros. And I'm hoping that the transfer of Kyle Walker is working. So I got my 5 players together and didn't have to spend that much money. This whole squad cost me 165 euros. What's pretty okay for the reigning German champion. As well as I bought Dortmund. The second place of Germany last year. Got a pretty decent lineup, even though Sebastian Aller is injured for the first 2 weeks of games. Even though they were for a 7 people lineup, they were pretty cheap. I just paid for them 166 euros. And last but not least, Bayer Leverkusen with Grimaldo from Benfica. They destroyed my thingies a bit. Was one of my most expensive lineups I bought for this season, but that's mostly because of Florian Wirtz. Florian Wirtz cost me around 110 euros, but he's just 19 years old and I can use this card for the next years if he's not injured or heavily playing bad or something. So these are my teams for the upcoming season. I hope they're doing any damage. But for those guys who are asking, oh, wait, you missed 3 competitions? Yeah, you mean the cap leagues, 220, 240 and 270? I bought 3 goalkeepers. They cost me 56 euros to fill up in these competitions. But I'm not focusing on them. I'm just gonna use players that are not playing in the other lineups to fulfill that competitions and see if I can do some damage there. But I'm not expecting it.
What did it cost?
Everything.
Well, clearly not everything, but still a plenty amount of money. If you're doing fast math, you know it already. But if you have ever watched Two Broke Girls, you know that ending with the cash valuation. I'm gonna do that at the end of every YouTube clip from now on, so you can have a clear insight how much money you're making a week, and if it's possible to get back the money you invested in one season. So I hope this video was informational for you, and I hope to see you guys next week. Don't forget the information is down in the description. Bye.